So, knowledge, right? What we know. I hit the 40-year mark in the Gregorian calendar. If you know, you know. But in other cultures and another time, I wouldn't necessarily be 40 years old. I would actually still be in my 30s, quite possibly late 20s. I might be pushing it there, but I wouldn't be this age. But it's okay because in this reality, in this space and time that I'm in, 40 is still a beautiful time. Have there been some hard times? That's life. It is to be expected. I don't expect an easy road. I do expect for shit to end at some point, and I have faith in that. But I also put in the action and the words and do the things to get myself out of it. But part of that is also acceptance, detachment, and rest. I think the biggest lesson for me has been rest. I got a lot of things that circled back for me this year as reminders, but my greatest lesson has been rest because I wasn't resting. And so even when I was going through this period of depression that I did not realize that I was in, it was actually like 2 years of grieving and like a year and a half of like functional depression. I was just functioning. I was just going through life. I was in survival mode. And I had been in survival mode for so long, I didn't realize that I wasn't optimally functioning, that I wasn't like really present. Even though I can still show up, I was still putting up a facade. And I learned how to do that really well for 10 years of my life, in a marriage that I didn't want to be in. And so I was familiar with putting up facades, and even to the point where I fooled myself. But being confronted with this year, acknowledging that that's what was going on, I was like, okay, there are things that I can do to shift this. There are things that I can do. There are tools that I picked up along the way in my journey that I can employ to help me out of this. And one of those things is rest. I was reminded that you've been functioning and doing all of this stuff. You've just been going, going, going. And you haven't really given yourself the time to pause, not even just pause, but the time to stop, the time to reset, the time to breathe, and to just be still and present. And though I spoke about it, I wasn't giving myself that, not ample enough time anyway, maybe a day here or two there, but it wasn't what I truly needed. And it wasn't until almost everything had been stripped away from me that I really sat my ass down and got some real work in, okay? Because things began shifting when I was forced to, but actually accepted the surrender and stopped. Wasn't working. I wasn't like running around town doing all the things to distract myself. I wasn't overfeeding myself to fill a void. I wasn't, I just wasn't doing the things that I had been doing before just to keep going. I literally stopped and I had to sit with that feeling. I had to like surrender to what all has been transpiring. I had to accept that, okay, this is what it is. And okay, I can stop. I can sleep. I can rest. I can just sit here and not do anything because guess what? For the past 40 years, that's all I've been doing. So that's what year 40 has taught me, is that all of this time before, it still means something. It very much means something. You've enjoyed it, but you've also been nonstop. You've also been going and hustling and doing all of the things. And it was beautiful. It had beautiful moments, but it has also contributed to how we got here. So I allowed myself to rest. I allowed myself to actually pause for the first time for real, in 40 years. And so the message really is, and I've always known this about myself too, especially in my birthday season with it being winter. Um, it's not like a time to be popping out. Sometimes, yeah, I can go out, I can show up, but really it's hibernation. I usually feel called to just go in, to just hibernate. And I remember there was one year I didn't do anything for New Year's. I just stayed home by myself. I lit my candle and I think I did yoga and I really just sat with myself. But this year, this period, I decided to like really sit down for damn near the whole season. All right. And that started a few weeks ago, and it's going to go into January. And I'm going to do a little bit of things in February. And we're going to pop out in March for the actual new year and spring equinox, because rest is necessary. And as nature, because we are nature, everything has a period in which it stops, in which it lets go, it sheds, goes into a slow period for it to be able to spring up and be new. So rest. That's the message.